Hello, welcome to my channel, Vintage Elegance Inspiration. This is Karen. Today I am sharing the first of my Soirée journal collection, and I am sharing them in the order that I've completed them. There are 5 total journals in this series, and this is number 1. I also have number 2 finished, which I will do a separate video on to keep them short and sweet, hopefully. And I will be taking these 2 to Canada with me this afternoon so that it will expedite shipping to the recipients. I am so excited to share these with you. I've been working on them for several weeks. If you're following me on Instagram or Facebook, you will know that these have been in the works and I've been sharing some sneak peeks. I did use quite a few digitals from various different artists. I will list them below in the description. Won't take up the time to do that now. But I tried something different with the closures. I did not use the eyelets and the ribbon tie closure. I did a little wrap skirt. And I've seen others do similar things. This is just my take on it. I wanted to do 2 things. Adorn the cover with something that was very feminine and ruffly and so forth. But I love the fabric that I used as the base of these journals in this series, and I didn't really want to hide it. So this acts as a pocket with this sweet little booklet tucked in here. And then it is just wrapped around this gorgeous vintage fabric. I absolutely love it. So this, like I said, is removable. We've got some light pink sari silk, some vintage French lace, and then these other laces, just to stabilize it and give a layered effect, are pretty much like Hobby Lobby and wherever I found them. But this piece on the top with these sweet little knotted French knot embroidery and the stitching here. This is, I'm certain it's antique French. It is absolutely beautiful. It was, I believe, a collar. So this is half of it, and I will be using the other half on a different journal. Not sure which one. But each of the skirts I'm planning to be different for this series of journals. So let's take a look at this little booklet. I just did some paper punching on this digital image and used my crinkled seam binding, some beautiful vintage shank buttons, and just sewed it pamphlet stitch style with some dangly beads. I didn't add a lot of texture to the pages for different reasons, which I can share as we go along. I've included some beautiful coffee dyed paper with metallic gold on them and die cut images all throughout. So this is just an extra little piece that gets tucked into the top. We've got one of Sheila's beautiful, beautiful handmade stick pins adorning the closure. And we will take off the skirt and have a look inside. Completely removable. Like I said, very simple. I might do a tutorial on these, we'll see. Just layers. I think there's about 5 different layers, and I've just stitched and reinforced the sari silk ribbon onto the front. So this is the journal. I've got vintage buttons sewn down the spine. It's one signature, very, very full. I've tea-dyed all the papers. And I have used some of Stamperia paper as the inside cover, which I've sewn the papers into the front. Also, I've decided to name these journals after a tea, and they're one of my favorite teas. I'm primarily a coffee drinker, but I do love tea, especially in the fall and the winter. This particular journal I am naming Rooibos. So I've included a packet of the tea that I'm naming after the journals in each one. Another little booklet, just sweet little booklet with beautiful vintage buttons. some beads, these crinkled seam binding, tea-dyed papers, just extra journaling space, and some cute little die cuts. This is actually out of vintage wallpaper. I use up all the scraps. This set of digitals, I believe, is no longer available. It's from a lady named Cheryl, who was Delygirl. And she has kept her videos up on YouTube, but she has closed down her shop. So if you like them, there's so many new digitals available on Etsy. Have a look. I mean, you'll find something very similar, I'm sure. Laces on the sides of the pages. Lots of pearls in this one. Here I've got a little card for the new recipient and a vintage wallpaper tag, which I have stenciled using texture paste. Some beautiful Swiss dot vintage fabric with roses on it. How beautiful is that? Some embossed metallic pink paper, and I've stamped some wild roses on the back. Vintage linens here. We've got a, I don't know if it's a linen doily, but it's got the beautiful border on it, and then this sweet little crocheted doily. This journal is actually for my friend in Canada. We did a swap. We agreed to do a swap long ago, and I got my journal from her in June, and she's been very patient and waiting, and I'm just so thrilled that I got this finished and I'm able to present it to her and give it to her, hopefully in person. So we've got some lovely vintage and antique French lace here. These tags I made out of decoupage, and I used tissue paper, some beautiful images. These, I believe, are Raindrop, Lila. Gorgeous vintage laces. These ones, I believe, I tea-dyed, and some pearls stamped on the back. Backed with mixed media paper. It works best when you're doing any wet preparation like the Mod Podge. Cupro ribbon. Just going to leave this here for now. This short little page has two little tuck spots, a die cut of a teacup, and I used, one of the digital kits I used was Lorna Taylor's Tea Party Ephemera, and they are just adorable. The best things in life are sweet. I have stamped most of the die cuts and tags and various pieces of ephemera, but not all of them. And throughout the book, I looked afterwards and I thought, oh, maybe I should have done some stenciling and some faint script stamping, but I had already sewn the signatures in, so it would have been very awkward to do that. And my hands are very sore from doing all the stamping in 5 journals. I did it all last weekend, so I got that done, but I paid for it the whole week since then. Little pocket here, which says, "And the story begins." Some of Shakespeare's book page, some line journal page. This is a little tea bag with a tiny little tag inside, and a spoon, little die cut of a spoon, and just a tag, random tag here out of the beautiful Stamperia paper. Tea and Roses is the name of this digital kit by Delygirl. Just some of Lorna's ephemera there, and a tag. This is a page of music, sheet music, and I've just draped some beautiful Venice lace over the side. Absolutely love this one. Love it. And I believe this is Italian here. And then just a piece of ephemera on the inside. Can also be used for, you know, just to tuck away anything you want to hide or not have everybody see as you're using your journal. This is a vintage doily that I've tea dyed, one of Nikki CV's beautiful colored appliques, a vintage button that I've sewn on. Then I just made some tags out of parchment paper and leftover scrapbook paper that I used, added some vintage lace and the seam binding. And here we've got some more poetry, just a little die cut here. And this book page is from Les Miserables. Very, very frail, very fragile. I don't know that I'm going to include it in the other journals because it's so brittle. It's just cracking and peeling. I tried to reinforce it with washi tape, but we'll see how that goes. And look at this beautiful lace. How gorgeous is this? I am so in love with it. It's amazing. Beautiful vintage lace. On this page, we've got some stacked teacups. I think it's called China Fragments, and that's an old set by Heartfelt Creations, and it has to be fussy cut. So that's another thing that is quite hard on my hands, but I just love some of my old dies. Café Parisien tea, and some beautiful white vintage lace. Just some more ephemera stamped on the back with Gâteau au Chocolat, and this beautiful vintage postcard. Probably ripped out of somebody's scrapbook. That's my guess. This is some more of my blush colored avocado dyed paper with the metallics speckles on it. Love it. Had to include some of that. Some pink parchment paper. And I've got a few original ephemera pieces here. I bought an old scrapbook that had a lot of envelopes in it, and they're just so perfect for journals. I'm so pleased. I got hundreds of envelopes. And then I also found a little book, a little tiny notebook, and the lady had written her recipes in there, so I included some that were for sweets that would accompany tea so nicely. Pineapple and quince conserve, and quince and apple honey. How sweet is that? And then just a fussy cut flower there. Beautiful image from one of the kits. Some pink eyelet cotton, and this beautiful lace, which I have used before as well. Some more ephemera. This is one of the journal pages that I just cut into an envelope, stamped it with the stacking teacups that say the perfect blend. Extra journaling space. And some pretty vellum with roses on the right hand side here. Journaling lined paper. And I've got some vintage Chantilly galloon lace here with the eyelash fringe on the edge. That makes a pocket for that page. And then one of the beautiful images. Ooh, not exactly 100% sure who these are. They might be Odulcina's Vintage Children. Pretty sure they are. Some French book page, vintage book page, blush colored vintage lace, some beautiful rosebud trim, and the crinkled seam binding on the back of a tea-dyed index card or a planner page that I cut in half and tea dye. And then just another one of Lorna's sweet ephemera pieces from her tea party kit. When your day seems topsy-turvy and as stormy as can be, there's nothing quite as tranquil as a nice hot cup of tea. Some vintage book page or music sheet here. Then I've just got some ephemera pieces here. This is from Botanical Tea by Graphic 45. I love this set. And some more stamping on the back. That's Heartfelt Creations. Afternoon tea menu. And some blue. This is an image of some Royal Albert china, which is just stunning. It's amazing. A cute little teapot charm on this side. Vintage lace, of course. And this center spread, I just absolutely love this doily. I hope the recipient does too, because it's just stunning. Look at that. And some vintage ruffled eyelet cotton trim with some crinkled seam binding lace through it. Here's my bead dangles. I went with the soft pastel pink and turquoisey blue with the little cup and saucer charms at the bottom. Absolutely love that. Pretty sure all the journals I've got enough to do the same dangles on the charms, on the signature strings. Here's one of my ephemera cards that I've been doing lately with book page from Edith Holden. crinkled seam binding, and these beautiful vintage pearl shank buttons. Lots of room on the back to journal. Vintage music sheet paper. And a die cut from one of Lorna's sets. And these are, I believe these flowers are from Odulcina. And book page. Here's another lace pocket with an image of a beautiful lady. That one I believe is GiKerr's. And an ephemera piece of a vintage teacup. I was going to say, of course, you know these can be journaled on. You can get a lot of extra notes added in here. For those of us that like to use our journals beyond just looking at how beautiful they are, they become a notebook of our thoughts and memories. Beautiful roses here. Another set of the die-cut teacups and a little spoon, die-cut spoon. And just some ephemera pieces that I've stamped on the back with chocolate. And where there is tea, there is love. Interesting, you know, teas first came from India and China and made their way to England and North America. The history of tea is amazing when you think of it. Tea and spices. It's wonderful. Some more beautiful soft pink papers. Here is a journaling card from the Stamperia's Sweetie collection. Beautiful blush colored lace with a vintage crocheted applique, I guess it is. I've got the rest of the doily. There are about 8 or 10 of these on the doily, and I'm using one in each journal. Here's the other side of this very frail book page. And I just tried to strengthen the side a bit with some of the ephemera pieces and die cuts. Little pocket here with a very bright pink small doily, and then I added some lace applique to the top. A little booklet with some stamping inside of teacups. And a little piece of ephemera, Won't You Come to My Tea Party? And a sweet little tea party on this side, stamped with Bon Appetit. Gorgeous applique, beautiful, beautiful soft pink. And this is music sheet paper, of course. I've got another couple of pieces of ephemera, another recipe. This one is Cinderella cake. And an envelope from the scrapbook that I took apart. Journaling card with a stamped teacup on the back. And we've got a sweet little tag, a couple of pieces of ephemera on this side of this lady serving tea. And that's a graphic 45 stamp, some vintage French lace, a vintage doily, and one of Nikki's cute little pink dyed appliques. And Eat Cake. Another decoupage tag with the vintage laces and the Cupro topping, stamped with a beautiful rose on the back, and vintage lace at the bottom of the pocket. These are sometimes a little tricky to tuck back inside. The end of the book page, Tea Makes Everything Better. Some of the tickets from one of the kits. And, oh no, that's not a pocket. Thought it might be. Beautiful vintage handkerchief with the crocheted edge in pink. And I've got another wallpaper, vintage wallpaper tag here with some vintage music paper and appliques. It's got some gold sparkle in there. I hope you can see it. Isn't that so pretty? Stamped on the back with a magnolia. Lots of flowers, tea and flowers. And some of the ephemera pieces from Lorna's kit, stamped on the back. Beautiful, beautiful embroidered metallic thread applique on this side. And the last page, I've included my business card, a piece of ephemera stamped on the back with one of Lorna's stamps, Boulangerie. And And that goes just back up. Here's some more beautiful pink vintage lace on the edge of the page. And then I've included some little personal touches. This recipient knows me, so if you've seen some of my other tea journals, I included some photo mats just to give you an idea of what you can do other than just journaling and writing. These were photos from my daughter's wedding shower. We did a high tea, and this is some of the food that we served. So I have included these in other journals as well. They can be swapped out for something that's more personal and meaningful to the recipient. Some of this beautiful rosebud lace. And that's it. That's it for this special journal called Rooibos. I hope you've enjoyed the flip through, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Beautiful pieces here. I hope the recipient really enjoys her new journal. It's been a pleasure making it for her. Thanks for watching.